Okay, yeah. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dhamma, the program of Dhamma for Life. And this morning, we'll talk about something that's very special for life. It's called a treasure of the noble or the noble treasure. ในภาษาไทยเราก็เรียกกันว่าอริยทรัพย์หรือทรัพย์ของอริยบุคคล So I'm trying to summarize the quality of the treasures for the nobles. The treasures of the noble disciple of the Buddha are not a precious stone as and like a pearls, silver or gold, or even money in terms of the material, the properties, or the field or house, nor are the noble treasure connected with the power and the glory of earthly sovereignty. These are the seven. They are the seven treasure of the noble, which including the confidence, the virtue, the sense of shame and fear, and the learning, the bounty and understanding, right? So these are the seven treasures of the noble, which the Buddha mentioned, even though it appears in the Anguttara Nikaya. He mentioned that not the poor is the man endowed with this, not empty is his life of worthy things. Therefore, should he who is understanding fixed be diligent, working to gain a confidence, virtue, clarity, and the vision of the truth, mindful of the law of him who understood. That's what mentioned in the Anguttara Nikaya. We'll see that on certain occasion, the Yuka, the chief minister of the king, or we call it Akka, the king of the Kosala, came to where the Blessed One was, salute him and sat on one side. And the chief minister who was seated at one side said to the Blessed One, mean the Buddha, "Wonderful, venerable sir, marvelous. The venerable sir is the amount of the rich wealth, possession of Bikara, Lohaneya. What is the extent of his vast treasure, his vast wealth? Akka, of gold alone he has 100,000. What should one say on the silver? I do not deny that there is a treasure of that kind, but Akka, such a treasure is the common booty of fire, water, kings, robber, and unloved heirs. But there are seven kinds of treasures that are not the common booty of fire, water, king, robbers, and unloved ones. What are the seven? The treasure of the confidence, of virtue, of the sense of shame and fear, of learning, of beauty, and the right understanding. So these are the seven treasures that appear in the Tripitaka, the Buddhist scripture, in the Anguttara Nikaya. So today we're going to scan about the treasure that the Buddha really appreciate and it's really offer a full benefit for everyone who have such a treasures. It's become a power. The first one is called confidence. In Pali we call it sattha. And he mentioned that the noble disciple is the confident trust in the enlightenment of the perfect one. I mean, the perfect one here is a Buddha or the Tathagata. So in this is the blessed one. He is the Arhat, perfectly enlightened, endowed with the knowledge and conduct, the sublime, the knower of the world, a guide of a man, a teacher of a divine and human being, enlightened and blessed. The confidence, according to the great Buddhist writer, is the entrance of the ocean of the Buddha's law and the knowledge. It is a ship in which a man can travel in that ocean. That was the Buddha say. In this place, Ananta, the great one of the great disciple or the secretary of the Buddha, said, should you establish, fix, and make firm your friend, the companions, and kid and the kin who think they ought to hear the doctrine in what there are three places in wise confidence concerning the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Should you establish them and fix them and make them firm, there may be a change. Ananda said, in for the great element, earth, water, fire, and air, but the noble disciple who is endowed with the wise confidence that concerning the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha cannot change. That is to say, it is impossible for him to be reborn in hell or as an animal where unhappy spirits dwell. The confidence of the highest kind is that produced in the object, the connected with the realization of the Nibbana, the peace that arising out of the final destruction of craving. There's no craving. As the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha are the object most intimately connected with the Nibbana. So this base of the all jewels in the world that inspire the greatest confidence in the Buddhists. The reason the I'm sorry. The reason for the absence of the inner development is very primarily lack of the confidence in the truth. Here it can be said that the bhikkhu, or the monks who lack of the confidence depart from the practice of the virtue might become a dead to all good and is unable to establish himself in the law of the Buddha and the noble disciple. The confidence is the first of the 7 treasures of the noble and can be considered as the first of the mental power that can controlling all the faculties of the mind around the magnet of the confidence, the cluster energy, the sense of the fear and shame, mindfulness, concentration, right understanding, and many other qualities of the noble mind. The confidence it has a maximum power that can directing the rest of the quality of the mind. When the confidence in Buddha's enlightenment is very strong, is very strong in the person. I mean, the hindrances, the sensuality, ill will, sloth, torpor, the restlessness and anxiety and the uncertainty are suppressed. So the hindrance, that's what I mean, the nivarana, that's why we have to pay homage before we begin to meditate. We pay respect and paying a homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha every time before we sit down and do meditation. We establish a full confidence on the Buddha. And I when I start my meditation, I feel really having a confidence because I have no doubt in the Buddha enlightenment. So the mind was really set up and ready to meditate. So the nivarana or the 5 hindrances being suppressed because of the confidence. The passion are really dispersed and the mind is bright and clear when you have a strong confidence. You clear the cloud from the mind at the beginning of the meditation. Feel like no possibility for the disciple of the Buddha to fall into the state of demerit, so long as he has a confidence in the master and the truth. Because the Buddha was the one who found the truth, and if we understand what he found, the Buddha had confidence that is the truth. When we follow the pathway, the same pathway of the Buddha, such a confidence is arise. It is occur when the uncertainty as regard as its good possessed him that the disciple is assailed by the influence that can lead him away from the right path. The Buddha say he watched the disciple so long as the disciple fail fail to produce the confidence. But once the disciple produced the confidence, the master stopped watching the disciple by knowing that he is a self-ward and incapable of slacking. So the confidence is a hand for gathering the merit of the good deeds, the wealth for the attainment of the happiness. And it's just like a seed for harvesting the fruit of the immorality, the deathless nibbana. Therefore, it has been extolled by the Buddha and regarded by them as the indispensable qualification for the discipleship in the dispensation of the perfect one. To me, the confidence is the Dhamma begin with the temporary conviction or belief in the morally wholesome object and can reach its crest in the settled trust in the perfect one, his teaching and all his noble order. So these are the quality of the mind, the first quality of the mind, and become the first treasure which have a really superpower. It's called confidence, the sattva. Then the next one is the virtue, or what we call sila. It's the goodness is the best thing in the world. I don't think anybody will have any objection. Everyone should agree with me for that. The man of the knowledge is indeed the supreme. Amongst the deities and the human being, from the good and the knowledge spring all the victory. That was up here in Terikatha. A noble disciple refrains from destroying living being, from death, from sexual misconduct, from telling lies, and from drink or drugging. This is called the treasure of the virtue that come in Anguttara Nikaya again. You know, the virtue is actually provides a person the strength or to realize the noble path leading to the extinction of the ill. Why is a swamp who is in its own sink? The factors of enlightenment cannot be developed by one who is involved in a vice. As you know, the earth of those who live on it, so it's virtue for on the practice, the practitioner, like what we call it yogi. He has to be supported by a virtue. I mean, essentially the virtue is restraint, non-distraction in the concentration and penetrate. The penetration is become a wisdom. That's how the sila or the virtue is as a foundation. The one who have a virtue or sila is considered as the one who built up a strong foundation for life. Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. That's how the Sila become the first quality of the mind. Because it's offer, it install the foundation. You know, when everything has a strong foundation, it will not fail. Like if a person does not think, speak, or act in the way harmful to his own and other welfare, that means he restrained his mind from ruining itself. The one who examines his own thought, feeling, perception, and the volitions will always find the natural untrained mind that inclined to do harmful things. What about the virtuous person does is to gather the strength for not letting the mind master him and for the mastering the mind. So the virtue is very necessary not only for reaching the highest happiness like nibbana, the extinction of all ill, but for living untroubled, in the world too. A virtuous man always gather a great mass of wealth through the diligence, his good reputation spread. He enters an assembly confidently, and he will meet his end mindfully, and is at death reborn in a happy existence. That was the Buddha say. There was also appear at the beginning of the teaching of the Buddha that was called what we call the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first sutta in the Buddhism, that actually we approaching the day of the Dhamma, was called Asalahat Puja. The Sila has been really detailedly spoke by the Buddha to the disciple. The first 5 disciples was listening the benefit of the virtue or the Sila. The virtuous life can be said as a life that have a full of the excellence, as it remove the corruption of the head. I think without the virtue, man is not different from an animal. because the animal doesn't have what we're saying, the virtue or the sila. So if any person does not have the virtue, that is not a different from the animal. With our strong and pure character, the man decay and become useless to himself and others. I think the greatness in the dispensation of the Buddha is try to establish in compassion through renunciation of the destruction of living being, in the honesty through the renunciation of death, in the chastity through the renunciation of sexual misconduct, in the truthfulness through the renunciation of false speech, and in the sobriety through the renunciation of indulgence in the strong drink and my confusing drug, So that is the minimum precept for all being, and that is become a quality of the human being actually. The virtuous man, does not act the hurriedly. He always will have a patience in all circumstances. He will act only after careful thought. He will always act not as a slave but as a master at all time and everywhere. Having built for himself a strong, noble quality of the mind, which can live where he can, be safe. The Buddha said, you will be free from the influence of the Mara through guiding the sense faculties. The virtues preserve their energy, and use them for a proper or useful action. The virtue cannot drive in mind that are really fanatical, violent, and very dogmatic and inconsiderate of the other well-being. In fact, one of the reasons for a man becoming a virtuous is to give a fearlessness to others, through kindly and thoughtfully self-denying the activities. So the fragrance of the most sweet smelling flower, that's not traveling against the wind, but the influence of the virtuous life can pervade on space, and the memory of such a man continue to sweeten the world for a long time. That is the word of the Buddha. Then the next one, the third and the fourth one I would like to talk together is called the shame and fear. It's called Hilit Otapa. The noble disciple is always endowed with the sense of shame, which is the shame of doing wrong, in the thought, in the speaking, and bodily behavior is a shame of the committing evil, a bad deed. It is called a treasure of the sense of the shame, which a noble disciple is endowed with the sense of fear, which is afraid of doing a wrong in the thought, speaking, and behavior, which is afraid of committing the evil or bad deed as well. This is called the treasure of the sense of fear. Basically, it's connected with the sense of shame, which is the self-respect and principally connected with the sense of the fear, which is the censure of the wise. These two qualities of shame and fear are called the protector of the world, or what we call it Lokabala. ฮิริโอตปะนี่เป็นโลกบาลนะครับพระพุทธเจ้าทรงตรัสไว้อย่างนั้นคือธรรมะที่เป็นที่คุ้มครองโลกนะครับ A true man or a good man with with the fear and shames, which is I consider as a very bright quality that when the good man having these two quality, it will appear like a god-like, Tevata. ในภาษาไทยเราเรียกเทวดานะครับนี่คือคุณสมบัติของเทวดาหรือเรียกว่าเทวตาธรรม These two qualities have always been praised by the Buddha, the peerless, guides and teacher of the world, because they provide the effective stimulus to the noble action. Anyone who have these two qualities will keep himself from slackening and going astray. The man who has this quality is always on alert. Thought and the words are always not, suitable. He will not speak, he will not do, and he will not think. He will say that I will be really loyal to the goodness. I will always doing something right, what is right, and try to avoid to do something that wrong. So to do a wrong or to be slack in doing what is right is not the way to pay a homage to the Buddha Dhamma. To act in that manner is definitely to be disrespectful and really disregard of the teacher and the law. Only when by practicing the precept develop the quality of the compassion, honesty, and chastity, the truthfulness and the sobriety, will serve the world, honor the master and his teaching through the giving of the gift of the fearlessness to all beings. The Buddha said the man with the sense of shame and fear has a lofty standard of conduct. The morality, he is very sensitive. He will never be careless of the means that he used to achieve his end or his aim, For him, for such a person, the end cannot justify the means, but the means must also be clean, non-violent, truthful, sober, and honest. Nothing, not even the doctrine and the disciple of the perfect one, the supremely enlightened one, the blessed one, will defend the dishonesty violently and untruthfully, which is if he is attacked, he will not retaliate. The retaliation is a wrong according to a parable of the sword taught by the blessed one, So in that instruction said that were the villainous, the coins with 2 hands sought to cut off the man's limb, and were he even then tainted in the mind, he would not be carrying out my instruction that was saying by the Buddha. The sensitive person, who endowed with the sense of the fear and shame, will always keep the words of the master in mind at all the time, especially in the time of the stress, and meet with the compassion his opponent who wish to destroy. That is also appear in the Anguttara Nikaya, and I used to read one time. It also appear in a different version in Tikha Nikaya, which is the largest Nikaya in the Tripitaka. Also mention about the moral fear and the moral shames. Yeah. So what I mean to say is that when anyone who have a sense of shame and a sense of fear, he is the man who will have very constructive standard of conduct. So, and it's become a foundation of what is called the morality or the sila. ฮิริโอตปปะนี่แหละครับคือรากฐานของศีลรากฐานของศีลธรรมคือฮิริโอตปปะนะครับมันเป็นความกลัวและความละอายต่อการที่จะทำบาปกรรมการที่จะทำความชั่วลองจินตนาการดูนะครับถ้าทุกคนมีจิตใจหรือสภาวะจิตใจ ที่มีความละอายและมีความกลัวต่อการทำบาปเนี่ยมันจะทำให้ศีลนะครับนั้นบริสุทธิ์ไปโดยปริยายด้วยการมีรากฐานที่มั่นคงของบุคคลที่มีคุณสมบัติที่เรียกว่าฮิริโอตปะเพราะฉะนั้นไม่ผิดหรอกครับที่ฮิริโอตปะเป็นธรรมะที่เป็นโลกบาลนะเป็นคำนะที่ช่วยปกป้องคุ้มครองให้ความปลอดภัยกับโลกนะครับ The next one is the learning what we call sutta. The Buddha said a noble disciple is learned and is one who bear in mind what he has learned. Maybe by him is learned, born in his mind, recited, even ponder on and penetrate with the right understanding. The meaningful, well-expressed doctrine, good in the beginning, the middle, and the end, which speak of absolutely complete, perfect, pure, holy life. This is the treasure of learning. That's what the Buddha say. Which is the state that the highest kind of learning known to the humanity, the learning that ends all learning. The other kinds of learning brings a man who not bring the man not to the cessation of suffering. They lead to further suffering. Wants mean craving, deficiency, that is to the further birth, disease, decay, union with unlove, separation from the love, and disappointment. Such a learning is worldly learning, partial, defective, and unsatisfactory from the standpoint of one who has seen that all is impermanent, all is ill, and all is beyond the control of self, except the renunciation of the whole mass of ill through the renunciation of craving. That also mentioned and deeply spoken by the Buddha to Ananta and to many places that he go to deliver his Dhamma. Well, the Buddha teaching of the liberation from ill is what the noble disciple learns specially. That is only knowledge that the human being should learn. To hear the doctrine and to master it is the object of the followers of the Buddha who has understood this. So what arises, cease, what has an origin has also a cessation. That is appear in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra as well. But what does not arise does not cease. What has no origin has also no cessation. This is very simple, that with this sentence, with this statement, it makes the Buddhism become the religion of cause and effect. And this is the heart of what is called dependent origination, paticca samuttabhata or ittappaccayata. Right there from the beginning of Buddha teaching in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And that is the first learning of all Buddhists should realize that. The learning in which the noble disciple of the Buddha is to master himself, to gain to the study of actual instruction